What's going on, everybody? My name is Dan, and welcome to the Potables Power Hour. This is going to be our weekly episodic live Philly sports talk show, recapping everything from the Union, Flyers, Sixers, Phillies, Eagles, talking craft beer, talking some MMA, talking college sports, whatever we think is relevant, whatever we feel like talking about. We're going to drink some beers, talk some beer, talk some betting, this, that, anything under the sun. I am joined by Bobby and Jeff, and to try and, introduce ourselves a little bit to everybody, being that it's St. Patrick's Day, we figured we were going to start off right away with everybody telling a embarrassing St. Patrick's Day story about themselves, since I'm sure everybody has at least one, if not a couple.
Oh, yeah.
I'll break the ice here, and I'll tell you guys, I could probably go a little darker than this, but a more lighthearted and fun story I have is one year we went to my buddy's apartment, and we were just chilling, like playing beer pong. This is when we were a little younger, so we weren't trying to go to the bars and spend all our money yet. We're playing beer pong in his little cramped apartment, ordered dominoes, crushing some 30s, and I can't explain why this happened. And before I say anything else, I'm going to preface that there were plenty of women there. This was not just a bunch of dudes hanging out.
Wasn't a sausage fest?
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think context is important before I get to the next part, because my friend, for some reason in his drunken state, thought it would be a great idea to try and tickle me when I was not paying attention.
In the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't end well.
So I'm very squeamish and ticklish and did not like that. And in some way, shape, or form, I either collapsed, fell, or something, and banged my head against a coffee table and passed out. So I dead ass got a concussion on St. Patrick's Day from a dude tickling me.
Note to self, I'm tickling Dan after the show.
Please don't touch me.
Please don't.
I'm in a very delicate state where I haven't been intimately touched for a little bit, so it might be nice, but also I don't think I'm ready.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
We'll take it easy.
But okay, so that's got to be up there for the weird one. So Bobby, please save me from myself.
This one isn't as weird as it is awkward. I remember St. Patrick's Day kind of goes hand in hand with a friend of mine's birthday. So what happened was I was invited out. They were already out. They went to a place called Johnny Manana's. It's in Manayunk in Philly. It's a popular spot. It's not there anymore. It did close down, but they invited me out. I went out, had a good time. I had already been pre-gaming in the house, as we tend to do.
Right.
So by the time I went out, it was only needed a drink or two, and, that was it. So I'm drinking or whatever. I'm getting on. I'm grooving. I'm in my bag or whatever. But I get to the point where I black out, right? I remember being...
As is tradition.
Exactly. I remember being in the restaurant. I remember leaving. I don't remember actually getting home. But I wake up the next morning, and my text messages, my phone is going off. My homeboy is like, I can't believe you. Why are you saying that about my cousin? What are you talking about? What is going on? You lucky nobody heard you. I'm like, what are you talking about? He tells me as I'm going up the steps to my apartment at the time before I bought a house, I'm yelling about how I want to knock off his cousin. I want to take her home. I want to give her the old one. I was talking all types of greasy about this man's family like he wasn't standing there. And I'm yelling it, he says, as I'm going up the steps to my apartment. I'm screaming about how I want to take down and do not so nice things with his cousin.
Bro, but I gotta some of the vernacular you're using here.
I wanted to have sex with my best friend's
because
cousin.
I was kind of on the fence on whether you wanted to bang her or kill her. Because
I wanted to bang my best
her
friend's
off
cousin.
Sounds a little.
I wanted to bang my best friend's cousin, and I made it clear to the entire neighborhood apparently on my way up the steps to my apartment.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't talking about murder.
He was not too happy with me.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to find out I never said any of this in front of her. Apparently, I was cognizant enough not to say any of that wild shit in front of her. Okay. But apparently, I was none too happy to tell him I wanted to fuck his sister.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, Jeff, tell us a story you've got from St. Patrick's Day, and see if you can top either of us.
Well, when I was living in downtown Philly, I went to Tavern Misconduct During the daytime, I got blacked out. The last thing I remember is passing out on the couch in the lobby of my apartment with some girl trying to shove a chicken parm from Wawa down my throat. And then,
I'm
yeah,
failing to see the
that's
problem
if
there.
that's not a good
Exactly.
start.
Throw the
That's
chicken
not a
pie.
good start. When I go back that night, the second I go back to the tavern misconduct, the bouncer just goes, "I need you," and he singles me out of the line to walk in a straight line and back. And of course I do it because I'm completely sober. And he says, "Okay, you're clear." And I walk back into the bar, and all the bartenders are just rejuvenated to see my face. They're just like, "Oh yeah, come on, drinks are all in the house, everything." And I'm just so shocked to like, "Oh, okay, this is awesome. All right, I'm gonna have the best time ever." And then I checked my bank account the next day and realized that I tipped like about 1,000% from the
Oh
daytime I
man,
was there.
1000%. That's a gentleman's
Yeah,
tip.
it
that's
was
a grown
ridiculously
man tip
bland.
right there.
And I could totally see myself thinking I was flirting with the bartender by just writing a number way too big to
You
cash
were just
out.
writing
And
them.
then
That's the
just,
kind of
yeah,
tip you leave when you're pretty sure the stripper likes you, Jeff.
Exactly.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh man! All right, so obviously to keep on the theme of St. Patrick's Day, we're gonna drink some good beers. I had to break out the stouts, and well, we were gonna discuss this first
My
one.
bad.
But Bobby got into it.
My bad. It was
Bobby-
delicious. I'll give you that
Bobby
much.
got into it a bit. So, us here in the podcast paradise studio over here, we're drinking the stout from Zipline Brewing.
There you
This
go.
checks
You
in
see
just
it right
under
there.
14%. It's no gimmicks or anything. This is
Oh,
a
you
straight
can
aged
tell.
bourbon stout. It's very dark. It's very heavy, but you can and. The nice thing I like when you get the ones with this high ABV and their bourbon barrels, just some of them are like so boozy that they kind of like knock you back a little bit. Like not this one.
No, not at all.
If I had to, or if I was Bobby in this instance, I could probably put this down in the next couple seconds. But I'm gonna try and sip and enjoy myself a little bit. Where
Don't judge me.
Bobby
Don't
saw
judge me.
Bobby saw the Sixers get up 15 early on the
Exactly.
Bucks.
I was in.
And he was
I was
already
on.
in. As we watched the first quarter before we did this, he was already rolling. So.
I seen all them Ben alley-oops. I was done.
So, yeah,
Like, let's go.
So he dunked his already. So he's already waiting for me to crack the second one open from Pocono Brewing Company, which we will get to down the line. But Jeff, what do you got? Well, I don't know. Are you going to talk about this one? You said you didn't really enjoy that much.
All right. Well, originally I was drinking the Founders Day IPA, but I do love that. But
The
since
all
we're on
day?
stouts, oh yes.
Oh, the all day is great.
IPA, yes. But since we're on the stouts, this is an Imprint Calavera Imperial Stout with chili peppers, cacao nibs, and cinnamon. And it's spicy. If you like your spicy stout, this is for you.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest on a spicy stout, but hey, beer is beer, and it's St. Patrick's Day, so cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Seante, which I never say
Salud.
right, but it's whatever. Yeah, salud, whatever. Yeah, the thing about those stouts is, I'm a big fan of those. Like the Stone Exo Cavesa, 8 and Stand over here in Woodbury has the Bad Ombre, so the kind of like chili stout has become a big thing, and I like when they kind of mix that in with a lot of chocolate flavor. But if you're not about that, those things can really kind of be a little weird for you if you're expecting more of your straight line stout.
Yeah,
but
if it's not your thing, you might want to.
But if you're
away.
but if you're coming
It's
over here
very
and listening
chocolatey.
from the potable side, we've sampled a lot of beers like that over the last 2+ years. So that's definitely something usually up our alley on the pod for sure. But as we get to the sports topics we're going to talk about tonight, so we're going to lead off with the Eagles, who have been making a lot of noise. Guys are going to other teams. Guys have been released, and pretty much the only thing that the Eagles have actually done for themselves is get under the salary cap, which we all know Howie Roseman always figures out a way to do.
Yeah.
But now we can shift our concerns from, okay, they have to get under to, okay, well, now what are they doing as far as actually putting a team on the field next year? Because other than the draft, it doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot of room for this team to do much, being that they had to do all this work just to get under the cap. And some of the things that have already happened, just to name a few, Jalen Mills is a Patriot.
Oh yeah.
Not that he was here last year, but former Eagle Nelson Aguilar, also a Patriot. You have Carson Wentz, who today the trade became official that he goes to Indianapolis.
Number 2 now.
Yeah, wearing number 2, just cementing himself as a backup for the rest of his career.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's an unlucky number.
And
You can't go far with 2.
and in the last couple hours, we learned that both Malik Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey were cut. We know that Deshaun was already cut. So at this point, yes, they're under the cap. So they've restructured Rodney McLeod. They've restructured, I think Slay got restructured, I believe.
Yes, Slay.
And
The most recent one is Brandon Graham. His contract gets restructured to give him 1 extra year, but it is a restructured deal that will give the Eagles a little bit of room on the cap.
And we're also hearing that it's not a lock, but there's potential that Zach Ertz and who was the other one? Zach Ertz and Brandon Brooks are potentially on the trade block. So I think we might have that issue with Jeff's audio again. Jeff, can you talk?
Oh yes, I can talk.
There he is. Jeff is here.
Oh, sorry, I heard that pop again, and I think the audio might have went, but I'm pretty sure I know which one I have to unplug to fix that. So, sorry, everybody. So Jeff, we'll start with you. I mean,
Okay, I'm just dying to get into Jalen Mills because
Me too.
I just moved back from Boston to the Philadelphia area, so let me just give this back to Patriots Nation, who just rubbed the Patriots into my face over the last couple of years. First off, LMAO. I'm laughing my butt. You paid $24 million for a glorified backup corner. Like, yes, okay, maybe he has versatility and can play both safety and cornerback. Okay, great. I heard on WIP a caller saying, oh, well, with the loss of Jalen Mills, there's now a hole in the Philadelphia secondary. No, he was the hole.
I digress.
Yeah, no, you understand I have control of the board, right? And if you're going to slander Jalen Mills...
Exactly, because I have an entire rebuttal. I'm waiting.
I'm
so
not...
You put it out there, and I guarantee you I'm going whole
You do not have the room
with my
behind you
rebuttal
on this one.
My cross-examination is like Johnny Cochran-esque when it comes to Jalen Mills.
All right, Bobby, you got to jump in here before I...
Well, hang on.
I need to know if Jeff knows what the Eagles' record is with Jalen Mills as a starting cornerback. You know what it is? Since he came in the league? It's 29-19. They have won 60% of their games when that man lines up as cornerback.
And you think it's as a result of Jalen Mills?
I believe it's a result of him because I watched the games
for Sunday lunch, because that's what we got with Jalen Mills.
Did you not see the end of games in 2017 and 2018 when it mattered?
Yes.
When
I did see the
lead
game.
was safe in Philadelphia for the first time in decades at the end of games because of players like Jalen Mills. The numbers are what they are. They won when he suited up.
Divisional round, when everybody in the world knows, all right, last play of the game, Julio Jones. It's going to Julio Jones. Don't let this man get open. Whatever you do, don't let this man. Jalen Mills, don't let this man get open. This man got open and dropped the ball.
If he fell. When did he get open? By the time he got back up, he had no shot. He had no shot once he got back up.
Okay, I'm enjoying this. I am. Even though I don't enjoy Jeff's commentary on Jalen Mills, I'm enjoying the energy in the back and forth. We're not going to get caught up on one play.
No.
We're not going to get caught up on one play. That he made.
Exactly. Like I said, the numbers are what they are. He was moved to safety last year. That year was a fucking atrocity. But other than that, when he plays cornerback, they win football games.
But listen, this is a case of both things can be true. You can laugh at the Patriots giving him that money, especially looking at him going forward. That doesn't mean you have to attack what he did here.
Exactly.
Because I thought he was a very productive player here, and for all the trash that cycled in and out of here and all the different, holes they had to fill, him being moved in and out of the lineup, moved from corner to safety. I mean, the dude showed up, the dude played hard, and was a very important piece to a Super Bowl winning team, which we talked before this, and we might get to it because, Jeff, I know you kind of want to talk about Wentz a little bit. If you're going to say, oh, well, I'm still going to be grateful for Wentz's 17, then you damn well better be grateful for Mills' 17. Mills' 17 was a good year.
And
he was second on the team in passes defense.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, Jeff.
If the Eagles' defensive line wasn't as great as it was in 2017, they didn't put that pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, and they had just maybe another second or two, Do you not think Jalen Mills
You
gets
don't
burned
know
on
that.
even
But
more
hey,
double
every
moves?
every
You can't
corner
what if
without a
to
good
kill him.
defensive line is getting burnt in this league anymore. That's not fair.
You can't what if to try to destroy Jalen Mills' credibility. He was
We
second
saw
on the team,
and we saw plenty of corners who had that pass rush still get burned. So he fit the scheme, he fit the system, he did a damn good job. Listen, like, I'm not sitting here telling you the guy was a Pro Bowler or a
Exactly.
Hall of Famer. And again, I'm fine if you want to, knock the Patriots going forward for now having this man under
Oh, they
contract.
definitely overpaid.
Yeah,
They didn't
fine.
even overpay. It's a $24 million contract,
No,
but
but-
only 9 of it guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, well,
which they can kind of
like, I don't even care. The point is that, like, we definitely got the best years out of him, and I don't regret having him here. And I think he got too much hate for the time he was here. I'm not sitting here saying, like, oh my God, I can't believe the Eagles let him go. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Like, he's not that essential.
just think-
But I'm not going to sit here and discount what he did while he was here either. He was a great player.
I just think people are reactionary. It's like you highlight the negative moments. Oh, I just saw him get burnt. Oh, I just saw him miss a tackle.
If you
That's
wanna
what I
talk- if you
remember.
wanna talk
you don't
about-
remember the positive stuff because that doesn't help you.
If you want to talk about since Carson Wentz got drafted, between those two, who had more quality starts for this team, it's Jalen Mills.
Yes,
Is it?
it's not even close.
It's not close. Carson's rookie year, how many quality starts does he have? 3, maybe?
Well, listen, when he had Lane Johnson actually in there blocking.
Oh,
for him,
so now he needs
Oh,
the
now
line,
he needs
but Mills
Lane.
can't
what
have the
quarterback
D
doesn't
line.
need the line?
Jalen,
Corners need a pass rush.
I'm just letting you
You're
know.
picking and
Well,
choosing,
no,
man.
the cornerbacks need the defensive line to make that quarterback not sit back there
I'm
forever.
a
Otherwise,
numbers
they're not going
guy.
to stick to their man.
But that's what I'm saying. But you're trying to discount Mills for having the pass rush, but then you're making excuses for Carson when he didn't have Lane Johnson. You can't do both.
You can't do both. And I'm a numbers guy. Literally, Jalen Mills, as a starting cornerback, has not had a season where he played and the team was below 500.
Jeff, we did
Literally.
not write Jalen Mills' name on this rundown, and I was not ready for this.
Exactly.
And you let the
You
tiger
come
out
with
of the
this
cage,
blasphemy.
man. You let the tiger out of the
Listen,
cage.
I'm just thankful that I won't be having burnt toast for Sunday afternoon lunch.
Wow.
Like,
Yes, you will. Who
Yes,
the
you
hell?
will.
Yeah. Who's playing opposite Darius Slay?
Exactly.
The name is Burnt Toast.
hey, our secondary, it was bad last year, but guess who was the safety there? Who's supposed to prevent
Oh my
that?
God!
Oh,
Here he
stop
goes.
that.
Stop it!
Stop it.
All right, let me
He
ask
out
you.
here putting all.
Let me ask you guys this, because I've seen a lot of different and outside of all the players we've already named, I've seen different things from different sources of talking about, oh, like, should they be shopping this guy? Should they be shopping that guy? I've seen outside of Ertz and Brandon Brooks, I've seen Dallas Goedert mentioned. I've seen even the likes of like Jalen Reagor or who was the safety who came on at the end of is it Bradley?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much at this point, you're seeing almost anybody under the sun being put. I mean, I've seen, and I don't agree with this whatsoever. I've heard people talk about moving Miles Sanders in trades. Like,
Yeah, I saw that too. That's
like,
ridiculous.
Is there anybody on this team that either of you would consider to be untouchable? Bobby, we'll start with you.
To me, untouchable.
Untouchable.
To me, it is Miles Sanders. Because to me, when you have a situation where the quarterback is kind of in flux, yeah, Jeff Lurie is like, we're going with Jalen. That's the guy. We're going to build around him.
Oh, have they said that? No, I haven't
Yes,
heard that.
Jeff Lurie has said there is no quarterback competition. Jalen Mills is going to be the starter week 1.
You think that he's going to say that after the draft?
Who knows? This is what he said now. So I think when you have a situation where the quarterback is in flux, the defense is in flux, you're missing pieces all over the place. You need corners, you need safeties. The linebackers are okay from what we had last year. Like Singleton came on, but you need a steady running game. A running game is important. They at least shorten the game, put it in, like, limit the opponent from having so many possessions. And Miles Sanders is the guy right now. You've seen not only can he hit the home run, we saw that late last season. Thank you to him in fantasy. Won my league. Thank you for those 80-yard runs. At the end
Okay,
of the
nobody
year.
cares about your fantasy team. Moving along.
But you need a running game in this league to at least stay competitive and kind of cure what ails you as far as your defense and stuff like that. If they're going to give up points, if you're not going to be able to score a whole lot of points, you at least want to make it a close scoring game. Which means you're going to run the ball, try to play defense, and keep it low, control the clock. Your running back is important in that, and that's why Miles Sanders is the guy you need to at least protect. That's the guy you need to keep going forward. The rest of these guys are movable. The wide receivers stink. You got Dallas Goedert. He's also really good. But I think running game is the most important as far as keeping your team in games when they're not that good when you talk about the complete roster.
Jeff, I have something for that, but I want to hear from you first.
All right. Well, first off, I love Miles Sanders, and I would hate to see him go, and I wish he would have gotten the ball more.
Here comes the buck.
But with this current roster, I don't think there's any player safe from being on the trade block. And I'll tell you that because this team is not, yeah, sure, they can win the NFC East next year, which they're not going to do with this current roster. But sure, they're in contention for it. But this is by far away, years away from a Super Bowl contending team. And if somebody said, hey, Miles Sanders, and I'll give you a veteran plus some picks, which I don't think will come in. I think Miles Sanders is safe. I don't think there's going to be any tremendous offers out there that's going to come and grab him away from the Eagles. But if that came along, I personally would be open to it. In fact, there's not a single Eagles player that's on that team right now that I would say I wouldn't trade him away for anything.
Yeah, okay, Jeff, we're back on the same page. You kind of threw a wrench in the gears there with Jalen Mills, but we're back on the same page. Yeah,
he's come back down to earth.
Bobby, I gotta tell you, if there's one position that definitely I don't think can be untouchable,
it's disrespect to the running back.
It's a running back position.
It's like the last decade has been screw the running back. I can get whoever.
But if you're telling me that a contender who's a running back away comes and offers you a decent package from Miles Sanders at this point, when you've already gotten his first 3 or 4 years out of him, that you're not going to take that so that some team can use his prime to win and you can do the rebuild. He's not doing anything on this team. This team is so far away, it's not close. To me, I agree completely, Jeff, that there's so far that there isn't a single person that's untouchable. If I have to pick one, which I obviously don't, but if I did, the only one I would say, and I'll get to why, give me a second, is going to be Jalen Hurts. And it's not because I think he's like the franchise quarterback or the answer. I mean, I like him and I want them to give him a chance, but I'm by no means saying that I think that's definitely the case. The thing is that his upside exists, and for where this team is at, they need that, but his value wouldn't be worth any return you'd get in the immediate future. So like a team that's going to come get him isn't going to give you anything for him that's really going to help you that much either now or down the line, versus the potential of, hey, maybe this guy is something. And if he's not, whatever, you use the second round pick. So I say him only because I don't think that his value within the league is anywhere close to the value he actually does carry on this team if somehow he can hit his upside.
I am absolutely shocked at you, Dad. I will say this because if I would put it this way, if I was on a lifeboat and we had to start sending people wayward because of weight, Jalen Hurts is the first guy I'm sending off.
I thought you were about to make a fat joke about me, and I was going to get real upset.
Not at all. I'm
like, you don't got to go there, bro.
I'm pleasantly plump myself, but Jalen Hurts is the first guy to go.
He's like, if we're dumping weight, I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Not at all. But Jalen Hurts is the first guy to go. Number one, I don't know what he gives. Like, we had a flash in the pan. We had a game here, a game there where he started. But at the end, again, they were losing these games. It wasn't like they were winning all these games. They won the one game. And we got all hot in our pants. And, ooh, Jalen, he might be the thing. I'm not there yet. I'm not sold.
No, neither am I. I didn't say I was.
And if he went, I would not mind it at all, especially because
but
people
do you think
are
you're not even going to get the second round pick for him, and it's been a year. So
people are stupid, and they'll look at the numbers he put up versus how the team actually performed and whether they won or not.
People are stupid, not the NFL front office guys.
Oh, people will give you something stupid for him.
But not as stupid as the public.
Oh, they'll give you something stupid for him.
No, they won't.
Listen, let me chime in on Jalen Hurts. Okay, I would love to see him have the opportunity next season. And I know a lot of people are saying, yes, he had 2 good games last year and 2 bad games. And I want to say he had 1 bad game because that Washington game, if the Eagles and let me tell you, if they were really trying to win that game, and by Doug Peterson's choice to take Jalen Hurts out of the game showed that they weren't really trying. If they won that game and lost that 6th pick and moved back to number 10, Eagles fans would have had a riot. It would have been horrible to win a meaningless game like that. But let me add on to this. If there's a lot of rumors circulating saying the Eagles might be going after Deshaun Watson, 3 first-round picks plus Jalen Hurts, and I'm not going to say Jalen Hurts or Deshaun Watson isn't worth it, because he absolutely is. However, look at all the holes the Eagles have right now. They have their receiving core. If it couldn't be worse than last year, it actually is, because now they don't have Alshon Jeffrey. They don't have Deshaun Jackson.
You're absolutely right.
They've actually gotten worse over the offseason from last season's wide receiver core. And now you're talking about losing Zach Ertz as well, which that's another dud that you're getting at tight end. You're losing so many holes, and the offensive line was atrocious. And can we count on Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, and Brandon Brooks to be fully healthy for all 16 games next season? No, we can't count on that. So our offensive line is probably also going to have issues. So if we were to say, hey, let's go spend the number 6 pick on a brand new quarterback, or even possibly trade it to bring in a Deshaun Watson, are we going to have a better result? Who are they going to throw to? Who's going to block for them? You're going to be in the same problematic issue with this offense that you're in currently right now. Now, Jalen Hurts, he showed us flashes last year of what he can do with this offense. And if you keep that 6th pick, then maybe, yes, you can get Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith, a receiver, to help boost him up, to help get him someone to throw to.
I think Jeff might have froze out. So, again, my point wasn't that Jalen Hurts is the answer. I just don't think that the return on investment from him, I'd rather take the chance on the upside for a second. But I can't believe that we're actually going to sit here and say that the receiving core is worse without Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. They barely played. They're definitely not any better. But
they're terrible.
Can you call them worse?
I mean, I just figured this out earlier.
You can't call them better.
No, but I don't think you can call them worse. I think it's the same thing, because they basically didn't exist.
You might be right, Dan. I think you're right, because you can't go either way. But, I was just seeing this earlier, because we saw that A.J. Green went to Arizona.
And Curtis Samuel just signed with Washington football team as a weapon.
And the Eagles can't afford to bring.
And I was just saying that as much as people want to go, A.J. Green is washed. Did you know he had more yards and almost more receptions than every Eagles receiver that played last year? That's how bad our receiving core was.
No, the receiving core was bad.
Terrible last
I'm saying
season.
it's the same. And honestly, I would value Jalen Reagor coming into year 2 healthy and a full offseason more than I would the departure of 2 guys that didn't play. So I would actually argue that by the smallest...
missed a handful of games last season.
The smallest minuscule possible, they are actually better by the departure of those 2 and whatever the hell else happens.
Oh, I'm all for them 2 being kicked to the curb. I couldn't wait. Deshaun, I'm not here for one game a year where you may catch a 60-yard touchdown.
I agree.
No, I know. None of us are arguing the cuts. I know that, but
the one thing Howie's gotten right.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the Sixers, who are actually currently up 16 on the Bucks in the third, 54-38, and. Bobby was the only one that could see me because I had Jeff up on the camera, but Giannis took a turnaround jump shot, airballed that shit. So I was sitting here just
he was over
dying.
Here, pom-poms ready.
But so we were going to talk about the Embiid injury, but I don't think there's too much to talk about. He's supposed to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, which at this point is probably actually closer to a little more than a week since they announced that. So I would guess, late next week you probably get an update. I'm sure, knowing him and the Sixers, that timetable will obviously extend beyond that. I wouldn't expect him back, obviously, by that point. But that's apparently when they'll give us an update. But I think more importantly than talking about the injury for Joel, the team at this point has made that not have to be a talking point so far. And the main person I think you have to look to as to why that is Tobias Harris.
Toby.
And Tobias Harris has done everything you could ask of him. Now, listen, other than this Milwaukee game so far, they haven't really been playing the elite of the elite, but we know that no matter what, when Joel is out, that this team can struggle. And even if it wasn't an impressive win last night against the Knicks, it was a comeback win in which in the fourth quarter, Tobias Harris really took over late on both ends of the court, really locking down guy who got the All-Star bid over him, Julius Randle, and closing the game on offense for the Sixers as well in a 3-point win when you're on the first leg of a back-to-back facing, the elite Bucks the next night. And again, without Embiid, it's very important to get that Knicks win. And now, you kind of have some flexibility in this game, although right now, you're hoping the Sixers hold on and get out of this. So I haven't really talked to you two guys too much about, your lifelong fandom of Tobias Harris and where you've stood. So I would love to just talk, big picture about like how your views of Tobias Harris have, either changed or developed since the trade, and, where you kind of stood when most of, if not the entire fan base was talking about, trading, amnestying him, whatever they could do to get out of it. And now this kind of redemption revenge tour that he started for the first half of the year and now gets to stack a all-star snub on top of it. And it seems like, I think some people would probably say like, oh, like I wish people didn't care about that. Like, who really cares? But, when he's performing the way he is and you see the energy last night of him screaming, like, I'm a fucking all-star, and he's doing that while he's taking over the game. Hey, I'm here
that's
for
bullshit.
I'm
right
here
there.
for whatever motivation you need. And if that's what you're turning into it, whatever.
Use
dude.
it.
If that's what it takes. If it took Embiid having a kid, if it takes Tobias being an all-star snub, if it takes Ben Simmons, I don't know, Kendall banging Devin Booker, then whatever it takes. So Bobby, tell me where you were at with Tobias Harris, and if anything's changed for you and where you're at now.
Where I was at, because like you look at the playoff performances in a vacuum and you go, this is the guy you gave a max deal to. What's going on? We're in playoff games. He's not performing. But this year, my God, he has been on one. It's just that historically, what he's done is unprecedented. You're talking about a guy who's giving you 20, averaging 20, while giving you also 50, 40, and at least 89% from the free throw line. There's only a couple players in history that have done what Tobias Harris is doing this year. You're talking putting him in the likes of Steph Curry and Larry Legend. That's who he's matched this season as far as his production. So I give all props to Tobias Harris. I'm all in. I'm buying all the Tobias Harris stock, if you will, because he's been balling, especially late in games. In the fourth quarter and overtime, he's averaging close to 5 points a game. He's shooting 52% from the field. Tobias Harris is giving you everything you need from a second, third option in an offense where you have one great player, you got some periphery roles that can also fill in, but as a third guy who also is not afraid to take that shot at the end of games, he's had buzzer beaters, he's had big shots, big free throws. Tobias Harris is your go-to guy when you don't have an Embiid in the game right now for the Sixers, and I'm all in. From being weary, going, hey, can we get that off the books as well as Al Horford, to, you know what, I'm riding this Tobias train till it falls off, because he's doing great things, historical things, like I said, that we haven't seen in years in this league.
Jeff, what do you got?
I want to add on to exactly what he said, but just on adding on to Embiid when Embiid's out, he's also adding on to Green when Green's missing. Green went 1 from 10 yesterday. Tobias added 4 3-pointers yesterday. He's probably the best big contract deal in Philly sports right now, even better than Harper. And I'm I heard the bottle pop on that.
Exactly.
That I agree with. Exactly. Tobias Harris is an absolute closer. The fourth quarter, if he's needed, he goes in and gets it done. There's nothing more that us Philly fans can ask of him. He does everything from offense, defense. He can get rebounds. He can score. He can score from beyond the arc. He can dish the ball out to other players. I mean, what else could anybody want? The fact that he was snubbed from the All-Stars is a joke.
Exactly.
And I love how he's just filling on it. Yeah, what he's doing is kind of like what Lillard did when he got snubbed from the All-Star game a few years ago. He's just on his own. He's on another planet.
It's Toby time, Jeff.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really bothers me when people pull up a lot of Tobias stats, and I think the same could go for Ben Simmons to a degree too, but I want to mostly keep it on Tobias, is a lot of people will look at him over the course of like, the normal season and even when the team is at full strength and really harp on him being more like a, 21 point a game guy. And the hardest thing I think to kind of like explain or get through to some people is like when you play alongside Joel Embiid, obviously you're like no one else is going to be able to score 25 to 30 alongside of
Yeah.
him. So much
Exactly.
goes through him, and I think you have to like look at the type of player that can take that step back and fill a role as needed when your guy is going, but then can also flip the switch when you need it and do that fairly seamlessly. And Tobias obviously hasn't done that the entire time that he's been here, but it's always kind of been, the kind of guy he is. You knew he wasn't like a number one option. You knew he wasn't a number one star, but the as much as we talked about the unfortunate fits around Joel, whether it was when people used to not think Ben Simmons was a fit, whether it was the bad fit of having to play alongside Jahlil Okafor and Nerlens Noel, or then having to play alongside Al Horford, like Tobias Harris to me is just that perfect fit for a guy like Joel Embiid, where if you need him to shoot the three, he'll shoot the three. And obviously he had a very cold streak at one point, but we know historically he's a good 3-point shooter. He's gotten back to being a good 3-point shooter. I think like there should have been an understanding that was a fluctuation, that wasn't the norm. And I think people really discounted how like the trajectory of his career and how much it had always been going up. Like this guy really had gotten better every single season for a very long time, and had the mantra of like being a guy who was putting in the work. Like he clearly, if you've ever seen like pictures of him, even like growing up and playing, like this isn't LeBron where he came out the womb as this freak athlete. Like
Exactly.
Tobias was like like if you look at some of his pictures, he's like a little chunky kid a little bit. Like this is definitely a guy who's had to put in the work and has done so. And like I know some of that can kind of be like, oh, like whatever, like the results, you still have to have the results. I don't care if he's a
Results
nice
may
guy.
vary.
I don't care about these things, but these things factor into figuring out, the ebbs and flows of things. And so I think that, like a couple of us last night on Twitter were having a lot of fun with people, and sometimes people get mad, but there's been a lot of us who haven't just torn him down since he got here.
Exactly.
And we were having a little fun with the fact that, he's showing a lot of really great things right now, but I'm not, the whole point of that isn't to sit there and say like, oh, I was right and I knew the whole time. Like, we're messing around. It's kind of a bit, but my real point about it was that while obviously sometimes we were kind of just taking the stance of defending him for the sake of defending him, I always did truly believe that there were circumstances to rationalize the thought that the poor showings by him were not going to stay, that they were an outlier, and that there was definitely a very good chance for the upside to come back. And then especially when the Doc hire happened, I said, okay, this is going to solve everything one way or the other, because I think everybody was saying, why aren't we getting the Tobias that we saw in LA? And who was the coach when that happened? Doc.
Rivers.
So it was like, all right, Doc's going to come in here and either get him the hell back, or we're going to know that this is fucked. And look what we got. It worked. So, take that for what it is. And for, I was kind of getting into some people last night too about, Doc Rivers and people trying to dunk on Brett Brown, who was my guy. And it's like, you can appreciate Doc and not need to dunk on Brett, because there are a lot of things that Brett couldn't do anything about. And I truly believe if Brett had this year's team, I don't think it'd be all that different. But the one thing I'm willing to give Doc Rivers a ton of the credit for is Tobias Harris, because there has to be something to do with him knowing how to unlock him. So.
Yeah, and just to add on to Brett, I mean, listen, against Toronto, he was a ball falling in, literally a ball bouncing on the rim away from possibly making the finals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a bad shot by Leonard over a tough block by Embiid, and it just fell in. And if that ball doesn't go in, and the Sixers were on a comeback right then, if they go into OT and win that game, they're in the finals and potentially win the finals.
I can't believe
You
we
know,
have
and
to talk about this shot.
Yeah.
I
It's
know
never
it's
gonna go
painful.
away.
But
I,
yes, and Tobias has been everything we've wanted. Like, yes, sure, last season he wasn't as great, and from what I've heard and what sources have said, is he was shooting off his wrong hand. But Doc is, his was his coach in LA, and now he's his coach here, and he's definitely got him confident. He's got him shooting, and I love what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah, definitely. We're in a mode where you have a coach that is into getting players to do what they do best. You get Tobias to penetrate, kind of get that 10 to 15-foot jump shot working. Get to the free throw line. Make his free throws. Like I said, he's hitting 89% of his free throws. Get him in a mode where he's being aggressive and doing what he does best. Don't try to make him something he's not. Like we all pretty much said, he's not the number one option guy. He's not the 25, 27 a night guy. You can live with a guy that's going to consistently give you 20 and 8 and 4 every single night and, get a big bucket when you need one.
I'm glad you mentioned his driving, because I wish I don't remember the exact thing, but I'm pretty sure they said that like last year. I want to say, I mean, maybe it wasn't even this high, but I want to say maybe he was in like the 56th percentile of like finishers as far as like efficiency. This year he's in the 99th percentile.
Exactly.
He's literally like the best finisher in the league. That's crazy to me.
Because Doc literally said that in one of his press conferences. He's like, he's a finisher. He's somebody that needs to drive, get the ball, be aggressive, go toward the basket, and that's what I'm going to get out of him. And that's exactly what he's
another
done.
thing to bring Ben Simmons in again, because I think one of the things about Tobias that I think is a little bit, I'm obviously not making like a legitimate comparison, but I do think that there's like a decent amount of correlation between Ben and Tobias. As far as like Tobias like can do a little bit of everything Ben does. He's not Ben at all, obviously. Yeah. And Tobias can shoot and can score way more than Ben can. But the thing between both of them this season that has elevated both of their games is their willingness to get physical. And Ben had the quote last night about saying this is a physical league. Like, I think it should be allowed to be more physical. Like, this is a grown man's league. We're not little boys. Like, something along all that effect. So Ben was the one saying that, and I think a lot of it had to do with, the way he plays defense and like I even said I was surprised on some of those late Knicks possessions that they weren't getting whistles. Like, I agree that there shouldn't have been a call, but you know how the league is. Yeah. Like, you just expect those whistles to come, and I was just shocked they didn't get them. But I legitimately didn't see anything that should warrant it. It's just, how it goes. But, like, Tobias has that same mentality. Like, the whole team has – last year we wanted them to be bullies so bad, and this year they're actually
they're a bunch
bullies.
Of dogs.
They're fucking bullies. They're like, we're bigger than everybody, and it's a shame because they were bigger than everybody last year too, and even the year before that, they're pretty much bigger than everybody, and they had some success with that year with Butler and Toby coming in too. Obviously not really last year, but it's when you look back at that, this is the last thing I'll say about when you look at that Warriors dynasty and everyone talked about them basically changing the league, creating positionless basketball, like that's what the Sixers are doing now. Instead of molding into that, they said, okay, well now everyone's trying to, throw 5 athletes out there and call it positionless, but they're also getting smaller, and we're going to now revert back, and we're just going to put 5 guys out there that, well, not necessarily 5 at a time, but they definitely have a few guys that they can throw out there that no one can stop. They're just mismatches, and they're using that to their advantage. And the best part is that they're establishing that for the entire regular season so that you can't change it in the playoffs. It'd be one thing if it came and went, and then you expected to get it in the playoffs, and sometimes maybe refs might, blow the whistle a little too much, and that screws you. Like, they've established it so dominantly as their identity and have already gone through some of the ebbs and flows of when they'll get calls, when they won't get calls, when calls will be made against them, when they won't, that I think you're going to see, it's never going to be perfect, but you're going to see a good amount of consistency with it that I don't think you're ever going to be able to look at whatever the results end up being and say, oh, like they got screwed because all of a sudden the refs started calling, fouls or, for or against them or not for them. As a result of their physicality. It's like, no, they've established the identity, and that's such a big thing in the NBA to establish those things.
Yeah,
like,
you know what you're going to get on a nightly basis from this team.
Yeah.
They're going to play defense. They're going to try to move the ball around. They're going to try to work it inside the Embiid when he's healthy. So you're not wondering, well, what team am I going to see this game? Or is it going to be the same team next game like you may have saw in the past? They're really clicking. They really, like you said, found an identity and know what they're going to do on a nightly basis. They know what to expect. Or who are we playing? What are we going to get from them? Whether they can go and outscore you and go score 115, 120, or like we saw the last night where we're going to have to win this close game and kind of bully it out and win a game where we're both in the 90s.
Yeah, so the only other thing I wanted to talk about Sixers wise real quick, if you guys have anything, and we can kind of lump it all together, was just a combination of the way that Matisse Thybulle has developed, mostly this entire season, but I would say especially over the last, I'd say 15 to 20 games, especially basically early in the season, he was actually kind of not really in the rotation as much, and Doc really unleashing him, and just the bench as a whole, which a lot of people. There was a stretch where we had a lot of concerns about the bench and they weren't getting anything done. Now at the deadline, we don't know what's going to change. But, these last couple of games without Embiid, you're seeing a really impressive outpouring from the bench. They've had several games where they've had 6 or 7 guys in double figures. You're getting both Tony Bradley and Dwight Howard playing great minutes at center. You've got Korkmaz off the bench dropping anywhere from like 15 to 20 in a lot of these games. Shake Milton is doing about the same, close to 15, 20 a game. You're getting some showings from Matisse. You're getting even a little bit from like a Mike Scott here and there. Jeff, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on what we've been getting from Matisse specifically, but then if you want to include any other bench guys, over the stretch, especially since Embiid went out, just how impressive have they been to you?
Yeah, so there's actually 2 players I want to get onto, and that's Matisse and surprisingly Mike Scott. Well, I'll start with Matisse though. Matisse has been a clutch weapon, and he's great defensively to use on players such as Harden, Butler, Tatum, Kemba Walker. I mean, the way Doc transitions him when it comes to the defense, when it comes late in the games, when it comes to three-point shooting, he has him on the best guy, the best shooter. He's got him locked down. It was just great to watch him against the Nets when they played, and he was just on Harden, and Harden couldn't do a thing. And what's great about his overall game is now his 3-point shooting has improved. Yeah. He's over the league average at 38% over his last few games. And now I don't think he's untouchable as if the Sixers wanted to add another shooter, could they not trade him? He's definitely, potentially trade bait. But the fact that he can pick up in Ben Simmons' shoes defensively, and you can put him on the other team's best shooter, and he'll just lock him down. And he did that again last night. And then there's another player I want to get on is Mike Scott. And what we've noticed is the beginning of the season, Mike Scott was out. He missed the first, I believe, almost 20 games that they were without him. And since he's come back, he hasn't been great scoring, he hasn't been great defense, but he's been good across the line, and he's come in clutch when he's been needed to. He's made his clutch 3-pointers when he's been called on. He's dishing the ball out when he needs to. He came up with a few good blocks yesterday. He's been coming up with a few good blocks overall. And another thing is Tyrese Maxey's been seeing a lot less minutes over the last few games. And I believe a lot of that has to do with this. He's not ready yet. And Mike Scott has kind of just filled those shoes as the guy to dish the ball around, find open looks, maybe make a few defensive plays. And guess what? If the shot clock is running out and he's got the ball, he can drain the 3 when there's no room to shoot. Right. And I've liked that from him. And I know that's an undercard because of what Shake's been doing, what Freck's been doing, and what Thybulle's been doing. But I think Mike Scott, he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, I like what Matisse has been doing. I like how he's kind of been doing it on both ends, like you said. Like, he's shooting the ball better. He's showing a lot of confidence. Like, he's stepping in rhythm in his jump shots. We've seen him hit a couple rhythm threes in the fast break. Also, the fact that he's being a positive contributor every time he's on the court. Right now, his last slew of games, his last 5 games, he's averaging being at least a plus 12.8 when you come to plus and minus. I know a lot of people don't put a lot into plus minus, but when you get a guy on the court, he's going to be a positive instead of a negative, you're not going to lose any steam. That's a big thing when you have a bench coming in to spell your big man that's giving you major minutes. he's also doing it on the defensive end, like we've also said. He's giving you 2.5 steals a game in this last stretch that he's had. He's getting to the ball. He's taking the ball away. He's adding extra possessions. Matisse is doing it on both ends of the floor, being a constant contributor. It may not show up on the stat sheet as something crazy in terms of points and things like that, but he scores timely buckets, and he gets stops for your defense when you need them to be able to control the pace and be able to keep possession. So I'm big on Matisse right now. The stock is high.
Yeah, I mean, Doc has the rotation thing down really well, and Jeff, to your point about Mike Scott, I mean, basically Mike Scott at this point at least looks like the version of himself from like 2 years ago, where he was a playable guy off the bench, because last year that was not the case. Mm-hmm. And he's very possibly a salary match and a trade, so who knows what happens. But if he ends up here, he's at least at the point again where he's serviceable, and when he is that, his personality and his play style fit this team really well. Like we talked about, they're bullies. They're a tough team. Like, I love having his personality on this team and everything. I know that, he's been here for a while. I'm sure he's a great locker room guy. I'm sure everybody gets along with him and everything. And he's one of those guys you'd love to have even on the end of your bench in a playoff series, because we've seen this team pretty much every year in the playoffs, other than last year, getting swept out of a bubble, have some pretty feisty matchups. Yeah. Whether you talk about that Miami series, the first time Brett made it in with Embiid returning halfway through the series, or you talk about that Brooklyn series, which was very physical. You need guys like that. So if he ends up here, at least at this point, you're not groaning when he comes in the game. And honestly, that's the best case for him, really. With Matisse, I've always been like, I love Matisse. I believe in the upside, but the fan base definitely dove like real head first into that, and I had to pull myself back out of the water and say, all right, hold on, because what the hell is this guy doing on offense?
Yeah.
He's at the point now where, it's passable. He's had some shots going in. I don't know if I trust it, because I still don't think it looks great, but he is incredibly at the point where even if that wasn't happening, which thankfully it is right now at least, I don't know if I would trust it in the playoffs, obviously, but he's so good on defense that you can't not play him. It's hard to imagine in today's league that could exist, that you could have a guy that is such a problem on defense that you really don't actually care if he's like a net negative on the other side. He's actually able to outplay that. And Bobby, you mentioned plus minus, and yeah, without any context, plus minus can be a very hit or miss thing. But when you're talking about a bench player who is really known for his defense, I think it's a pretty fair metric to bring up. And especially with the way Doc's rotations go, where Matisse is generally playing a lot of times either with almost a full bench unit, or if he's playing with the starters, it's usually crunch time.
Yeah.
Out there as a defensive specialist. So if he's going to end up that far ahead in plus minus, one, you're going to definitely attribute the defensive aspect to him because you know how good he is. But it also means that he's out there and getting you the wins. So, like, that's ultimately all that matters for him. Like, you don't care if he puts up 2 points, 4 points, 5 points. Obviously, the better he does it, the better off you are. But he's legitimately so good at it, and Doc has figured out exactly how to unleash him, that it's scary. And the best part to me, and I know a lot of people heard this quote, but last night when Doc Rivers was asked about him, he said, if he was an average player, this would have been a great defensive game. But it's Matisse Thybulle, so it was an average game, and he'll do better the next time. And like Matisse is like buying into that. Like apparently, like they have this thing already where like Matisse already knows like you can go out there and get 3 blocks and 2 steals, and now the bar is set for you that may not be good enough, or maybe a guy beat you here and there, or you didn't fight through screens hard enough a couple times, and it's a combination of Matisse accepting the role, which is good. Doc defining and putting him in position to do so, which is good. And it all comes back to one of the other biggest things that I will give Doc Rivers a tremendous amount of credit for, if you want to be one of the people who needs to talk about him and Brett Brown, which again I really don't fucking feel like doing, but is the accountability thing. There is a very clear difference in the way that Doc Rivers holds players accountable, and I thought it was really just going to be with the stars, but you're seeing that he seems to have even like one-on-ones with almost every guy. Look at Matisse and the way he's working with him. Look at only a couple games ago did Doc basically come out and say that Isaiah Joe was potentially going to get run over Furkan Korkmaz. Korkmaz was playing brutally. Even I'll admit it, and that's my bit. So normally I won't do it, but he was so bad. Like people were texting me and they're like, "Okay, you're admitting that like this might be the end for him, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm sad. Like I actually think that he might fall out of the rotation, and this is the end of seeing him as a Sixer because I don't know what's going to happen to him after this year." And I don't know, man. I feel like Doc like knew that he just had
Lit
to
a
like
fire under him.
he had to light a fire under his ass, and literally Isaiah Joe plays like 2 games, plays okay, and then I forget Furk got a start one night for somebody. It might have been Seth,
Yep.
and played out of
Yeah.
his mind, and you're like,
17 points.
what the hell is going on? And it woke him up, and you've needed it, and especially with the struggles the bench was having, you're able to get Furk on a spot start to wake him up, but then he took that and took it back into his normal bench role and has been incredibly effective. He's been amazing off the bench as of late, and they've needed it. So can't give Doc Rivers enough credit for some of those things. There's a lot of things I think he's getting a little too much credit for, but I'm not here to knock Doc Rivers at all. Love the hire, love the job he's done. He deserves a tremendous amount of praise. I just think you have to identify the things that he really has had a lot to do with, and some of the things that are just kind of more of a benefit of him happening to be here this year. But either way, it's good results for the team, and again, no one's complaining, especially right now. Holding on to a lead currently against Milwaukee, and even despite not having Joel Embiid for a couple of games, still holding on to first place in the East at this point over the Brooklyn Nets, which is crazy at this point to think about. The last thing I want to talk about with you guys, which actually you guys are probably going to talk about a lot more than I am, is March Madness, which I just want to mention is brought to everybody by Viget. Viget is an app where you can pick sports outcomes. It's completely free. They don't require any payment information or anything. You don't have to put a card on file. If you use the code PPH, you automatically start with 2,500 coins, which is the in-game currency. You can, choose outcomes, whether it's, spreads, totals. They don't have props or anything, but spreads, totals, money lines, things like that. And you can redeem your coins for things like Amazon gift cards and stuff. So if you earn enough coins, you can cash them out, win Amazon gift cards. There's other things on there that you can win as well. I think they have like PS5s, TVs and stuff like that. So it's completely free. And if you use the code PPH, you start with 2,500 coins. And March Madness is a great time to get in there because there's going to be so many opportunities to build up your bankroll in there and potentially earn some cool prizes. So thanks to Viget, and want to talk about March Madness, talk about the brackets here. I'm going to pull up for everybody the it's going to work. Yep, there it is.
And I have no trust in them whatsoever going into the tournament. So, like you said, Winthrop is going to give them trouble if they find some way to eke past them. I can't see them going further than 32. And I know we all love Jay Wright, but like just the way that this team seems to not show up when they've been consistently the favorite, the better team, the more talented team, the more pedigree team, and they seem to just shit the bed when it matters the most, or when it's opportunities where it clearly looks like they should come out with victories. So I'm with you, Jeff. I have no faith in Villanova whatsoever. I would not be shocked if they lost in the first round, but I have no faith in them at all going past the round of 32.
Yeah, and I can tell you, a little inside tip from our other friends over at Steady Picks, where I do some of my NBA plays and whatnot. That one of their favorites for this weekend is actually Winthrop plus 6.5. So it does seem like Nova's on a big time upset alert, even as early as the first round. You said we all love Jay Wright. I don't have a problem with Jay Wright, but I really don't give a fuck about Villanova. So I'm all in on this too.
Shoot, I went to Temple. I don't really give a damn about Villanova.
I already actually have a bet on Winthrop with the 6.5. So I'm pretty happy to hear that. It seems like that might be a pretty good bet by all accounts. But what about Drexel, Jeff? Because I know it seems like there's actually a decent amount of hype behind them, and maybe not necessarily to go all the way, but at least to have a much more fun time than it sounds like Villanova's going to have.
There shouldn't be any hype at all. I love the CAA. I follow it intensely. I love the years when VCU was great, George Mason, Old Dominion, but they're gone. Fire towards the end of the CAA tournament. But over the course of the entire season, there was no real front runner in the tourney. Hofstra, the defending champion last year, had a mediocre season. James Madison played okay, but they weren't anything special. And Drexel in the first round is going to run into number 1 seed Illinois. And they are just overmatched in almost every single way. The Drexel defense is their strength, and that might be if there was a key for them to win, that would be it. But they haven't played an offense as great as Illinois. Illinois is a top 20 offense, and they're going to be more explosive than any team Drexel has seen this season. So they're just going to roll over Drexel. I don't think Drexel will be within 15 points in their first game.
Well, I didn't mean hype as in, winning anything, but, they at least seem like
it's great
the fan base is having fun.
Yeah,
whereas
nice.
it seems like Nova's on Nightmare
years,
Watch.
Hey, we'll give them the
nice
first time in 25 years.
Yeah, it's nice to see them in the tournament. Like, that's cool. I don't know. I'm a Philly kid. I like seeing Drexel in there, but I'm like Jeff, I have no faith whatsoever that they'd actually win.
Hey, I'm a Delaware fan, so Drexel is our rival, so if I'm a little harsh,
I said, I went to Temple. I could care less about any of these damn schools. But like you said, I have no faith in Drexel winning this game or being any bit competitive. Like you said, like winning that tournament is like being the smartest kid in the slow class. Like, who cares? Yeah, you won that tournament, and now you're going to get rocked in the first round of the tournament, of the real tournament. So, yeah, it's nice. It's a good feel-good story. If they somehow beat some miraculous upset, that'll get crazy. You probably have people storming the streets in West Philly, but who knows?
Hey, I hope they do.
All right, so let's.
I think Gonzaga, this is the year that Gonzaga finally puts it all together. You've seen year after year where they've been a high seed but it just hasn't gone together for them to get all the way to the end. I think it's the year Gonzaga goes all the way to the end. I think from top to bottom, they've been like the best team in college basketball this year from what should be wire to wire. So it just seems like in all this craziness with all the COVID and the bubble and all of that, that this may just finally be the year Gonzaga puts it all together. So my pick to win it all is the Zags. My dark horse to make it to the Final Four is probably North Carolina because I like what they do on the inside with the bigs they have, the young guys they have. So my pick to win the whole thing would be Gonzaga. My dark horse is North Carolina, though. I do like them.
Jeff, what do you got?
So I've been waiting a long time for this because I have a little bit of a crazy Final Four. Starting in the South, nothing crazy here. I see Baylor winning the region. Their offense is just too powerful. They average over 84 points a game. I think they're just going to blast through their bracket. In the Midwest, I love Houston. I think the 2 seed Houston, their defense is just elite. They rebound better than most teams in the league. I think their ability to prevent second chance opportunities is going to propel them into have them going all the way to the finals. But here I go in the East with my bracket buster. And are you guys ready for this? I don't know if you are.
I'm ready for this, Jeff. I want to hear where you're going.
No team outside of the top 11 has ever made the Final Four. But hey, it's COVID 2021, so let's go ahead and break that. I got Abilene Christian just coming in and stunning everybody with their defense.
And I looked at that team earlier, and I said, "There's something about the name. Maybe the players or something." And it was like, "Yo, that was like that team that breaks your bracket and goes all the way to the end."
Kind of
like what the hell is going on here?
I see their defense just going off and stunning Texas. I think their defense is going to carry them through, and I think that's also the weakest bracket.
It is the weakest bracket.
East is the weakest bracket. I think if there's going to be an upset and there's going to be a non-top 4 seed in the finals for that bracket, it's going to be that one. It's going to be the East. But I have Abilene Christian make it to the Final Four. And if you want to call my BS, you can check my Twitter in the past. I actually did call UMBC over Virginia. You can check it. Go back, pull up the history. Go ahead. I give you permission. Let's go. And then in the West, I have Gonzaga, and I think Gonzaga is going to roll their way to the title this year. With Jalen Suggs and Corey Kispert, they're both going to be in the top 10 of the NBA draft this year. There's no match for them in this year's league. I think this is the year of the Zags, and this is, I believe, will be the first year in the last 11 where a team from the western side of the Mississippi River will win the NCAA title.
If you're interested in the Abilene Christian Final Four play, it's plus 10,000 on DraftKings.
Oh, you
put
got
the money on
it.
it.
What's $100 on Abilene Christian if you're gonna win 10,000? Hey,
no, you bet $10 to win 1,000.
Exactly, you bet 1,000. You can win
I'm not putting $100 in that, but $10 to win 1,000 all day.
Hey, 100 doesn't hurt. 100 doesn't hurt.
Yes, it does.
Well, what's the payoff? Is 100? What's that? $100,000?
Yeah, $10,100.
I'll take it.
I'll take a shot at 10 grand all day long.
Again, I am no expert. I only kind of go off. I do a little bit of research and some reading, mostly more in regards to betting more than who's going to win or anything. I don't even have a Final Four. I have 2 championship picks. I bet them both $25 a piece. So I have $25 on Baylor to win, which pays $150. And I have $25 on Iowa to win, which pays $450. So I have $50.
I like the Iowa for some reason. Always those middle of the country states always have like some team that like shocks everybody.
You can't leave out the Zags though.
You can because the thing here's the thing, and if you I'll again shout out our other sponsor, Steady Picks, because we started doing a weekly newsletter for members. A membership's only $20 a month. You get this weekly newsletter we started doing where everybody writes kind of bigger picture articles. So most of my research came obviously from reading the newsletter and everything from them. Their thought process, and I'll keep it really short, and I don't want to give too much away from them, but I think this is a really good thought process, is basically like there are 2 ways that you can approach betting on the tournament as far as who's going to win. You either bet Gonzaga or you bet other
Yeah.
teams. You don't do
Yeah.
both because then you don't really win enough because Gonzaga's only plus 200. So if you think Gonzaga's going to win, you bet them and that's it. Because if you bet them and like two of these other long shots, you might still lose money if Gonzaga wins.
Yeah.
So there's no point. So you either have to bet Gonzaga alone or you can do what you want with the field and have fun. And honestly, it's March Madness. Do you really want to fucking bet the favorite and do nothing else?
Yeah.
Knowing how this works, like, it's not fun. It's not fun, and it's really not profitable. Like, $25 is gonna win me 50 if they win, but then I already bet 50 on these two other teams, so I could bet Gonzaga as like a fail-safe to break even, but it's not. I don't want to do that. And there's 64 fucking teams. Like, betting on them to win the whole thing to break even is not value. So
Yeah.
it's not great. So. Sorry, that's my betting rant and everything. So, all right. So I think we covered just about everything. The other thing I did want to ask you guys, I put it on here, so maybe we'll wrap up with this. Was we talked March Madness, we talked bracket, we talked Final Four, we talked winners. I wanted to see if you guys had a Final Four that you could rattle off of like the top 4 beers that you've had, and if you need a couple seconds to really put it all together, I'll give you what I came up with. This is very difficult for me, being that I can honestly tell you that I've probably drank over 1,000 different beers in my life already. Obviously, being to like a ton of festivals where I was able to have like 2-ounce pours of 50 so beers at a time. But the 4 that came to me very quickly, so I wrote them down, and that's usually the best way to do it, is to not dwell on it too much. Would be Cape May Corrosion, which is a sour IPA. Currently, they have a key lime variant that's out, which I did like, but
Was that the one we had last time?
that was the
key lime
variant of
corrosion.
that. So I like the original a lot. I'd never had a sour IPA until I had that. I'm still not sure that I've ever really had another sour IPA, and it really stood out to me as being just an incredible combination of a good balanced sour that still had a lot of hop profile. And everything. It was just like a very drinkable sour and a very good IPA still, like both at the same time. So that one's always stood out to me as being up there. Another one, which is pretty common, I think a lot of people have had if you've ever been in to Belgians, which is a Delirium Tremens. One of the better, if not the best Belgian out there, in my opinion. It's available in most liquor stores. It's a little expensive. You usually buy like a 750 milliliter bottle. Probably, I want to say maybe around $15 for it, but really good. Probably my favorite Belgian. It was one of the first craft beers I actually ever had, and I still just have such like a fond memory of it because I feel like that definitely helped me transition into it a little bit. Rogue Beard Beer, which was a very, very limited release. I've only had, I think, 3 bottles of it in my life. Is probably my number one. I can't even really explain why. It just had this like perfect like mouthfeel and hoppiness that like I just remember wanting to sit there and drink several bottles of it, but it was just never available like that. It came out one time, it was gone very quickly, and then I think they did one more batch of it a few years later, and I was able to like order one. So I'm pretty sure I've only had it, if memory serves me correctly, 3 750 milliliter bottles of it in my life, but tremendous beer. And then the last one, I can't remember the name. I really tried. I tried to go on my Untapped and figure it out, but I do at least remember the name of the brewery. So Dock Street Brewing in West Philly. When you talk about Philly breweries, I don't know how many people have heard of Dock Street, but I was very impressed the only time I've been there. I actually went there to watch I forget if it was I think it was season 3, the premiere of season 3 of Rick and Morty. They actually had a viewing party for it on like a Sunday night. So me and a couple friends went there, and they had a stout that they made with like freeze-dried ice cream, like the astronaut
Ooh,
freeze-dried
that
ice
sounds good.
cream. Holy shit. It was fucking incredible. It's easily the best stout I've ever had, and when we were drinking these, I was trying to think like, what is like my favorite stout? And then I remembered that, and man, like I really miss it. So, I like that list because it covers a lot of the bases too. Because I've definitely gone through phases of styles of beers. So I had my sour in there, sour IPA kind of combo. The Rogue Beard Beer was more of a traditional IPA kind of beer. Tremens being a Belgian, and then got the stout with the freeze dried ice cream. So, If either you want to jump in
Yeah,
next.
I'll go in like I'm kind of eclectic when it comes to beers. I'm not super into IPAs or super into light, super into stuff. Like I like tonight. I was really impressed by the Zipline Stout that we had, and I thought that was delicious. I like the Corrosion that we had last week, but and when I go lager, I like a nice Yingling. I like the Black and Tan. That's a crowd favorite. And if I'm just gonna go a light beer, I'm sitting there chilling. I'll either go a Bud Light or a Miller Lite just to like get me through the night. But usually my number one, if I'm going to sit there, I'm going to have a 6-pack. I'm going to go to Yingling. I'm going to go to Black and Tan just to have a lager, just chill, watch a game with. So those are probably my four. Like I like this stout. This is going to probably be a stout I go to now. I want to give props to Dan for introducing it to me.
Oh, good luck finding it.
I don't know. I mean, Google works, right? We use Google. Find it somewhere.
What about you, Jeff?
All right, so I kept it simple for my top four because it was a little bit difficult. But I'm going to break it down by scenario instead of ranking. My go-to chugging beer, as far as beers, I can just put down as many as I can. Magic Hat number 9.
That's nice.
I don't like Magic Hat.
You don't like the Magic Hat?
Oh, love the Magic Hat.
Wow,
Number 9, I
okay.
can put down warm or chilled. And it's my lucky number, so gotta love that.
My lucky number too. That's why I'm upset I don't like it.
As far as a beer I don't have too often, but it packs a punch, that would be Dogfish 120.
Hell yeah.
That's my home state beer, Dogfish Head. I love it, and it's a beer you can afford to babysit.
Yep.
But it does pack a punch. In Firefly Music Festival, we used to start off every single year with just a Dogfish 120 minute before we go see our favorite band.
That's a terrible starter beer.
Oh, right? Yeah, you don't start with the
problem,
Dogfish.
bro.
It won't start a problem. It'll get you going.
Trouble. You start with that Dogfish.
He's like, oh, we just start off with a nice, easy 120 minute.
Yeah.
They only started about like 16, 17% ABV. Damn, bro. To be young again.
Number 3 would be Newcastle Brown Ale.
That's a good guy.
I've always had a good time when drinking Newcastle. My 21st birthday a week was actually great for me, not great for everybody. That was the same week that
was your birthday.
Well, no, that was the same week that Hurricane Sandy hit. And I was at the University of Delaware at the time, and they canceled school for a week. And the local liquor store sold me 3 kegs of Newcastle Brown Ale for next to nothing. Because they had all the students left, so we had a great time, and I just kind of fell in love with the beer throughout that week, and since then. And I'll bring it home. I'll stay local. Yingling, because there's nothing better when you're exhausted after a long day of work, or just any occasion, really. Just a nice, refreshing Yingling.
Amen, brother.
Bro, you should film a commercial.
Me and Jeff are going to film the Yingling
I feel like that one's got to air
there.
between innings of a Phillies broadcast.
Exactly.
When you get home and it's a business person special, you put your feet on the coffee table, don't even keep the shoes off, just crack open a Yingling.
Exactly. God.
All right, guys. Really appreciate you joining us tonight. Thanks everybody who hopped into the Twitch stream and everything. Anybody who watches it after the fact on the YouTube or listens or anything like that. For Bobby and Jeff, I'm Dan. Make sure you're following us on all social media at Process Potables. We are on Instagram, Untapped, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, everything like that. We'll see you guys next week, and trust the podcast.